Hello, Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. I am Ron Luce. I'm always backwards with the whole screen thing. He is Nick Hudson, even though he's technically this way to me, but he's this way to you guys. Nonetheless, we are back talking about the first two games of this Marlins series. The Cubs have split thus far. We'll get into all of it. But Nick, happy Tuesday. How you doing, my friend?
Happy Tuesday, man. I am doing fan-frickin-tastic. After such a heartbreaking loss last night and to receive such horrible injury news from the back end of the bullpen there, just feels so great that the Cubs just went out there and just ass-whooped the Marlins after that. Takes all the pressure away, takes all that bad momentum out of it. It was great. I'm looking forward to breaking this one down with you.
100%, man. You gotta get that bad taste out of your mouth from Monday, and I think Tuesday's game 100% at least took care of that in the short term. We'll see about the long term. Obviously, that's still to be seen. Triple R bail bonds. Whew, try saying that 10 times fast. Let's go. And yeah, I think that's kind of how Cubs fans feel tonight, Nick. But it's not all good, right? We do have to talk about some of the bad, and we have to talk about Monday's game. And maybe we should start there because I admittedly incredibly tied up last night. I was following along versus physically watching it. So I probably wasn't as mad as a lot of other people were at the result of the game. But with that being said, especially 24 hours later, and tonight's result be damned.
Yep.
They still did a lot of good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
In that loss. I understand people being upset about the game, but I have the box score here in front of me. Yes, PCA and Kyle Tucker went a combined 0 for 9 with a walk. That's not great. But everybody else in the lineup had at least a hit. Your 5 through 9 hitters all had multiple hits. You got 2 hits out of Dansby Swanson, 2 hits out of Nico Horner, 2 hits out of Moises Ballesteros before he went back down.
Big
RBI. Miguel Amaya had a 5 RBI night with 2 hits. Miguel Amaya has an 852 OPS as your backup catcher, quote unquote.
Yep.
And then Matt Shaw in his first game back had an RBI and 2 big knocks, including that double off the wall that was this close to being a homer. And I would have been losing my shit in the replies to the Dingers post because I would have been fucking back. It's just one of those things, man, where it's I'm frustrated too. I'm not going to sit here and pretend Ben Brown giving up 6 runs isn't concerning. And Daniel Palencia finally having a bad outing as a reliever. I think it's his first bad outing since mid-April.
Oh, yeah.
As a reliever. It's it's frustrating, but there was still so much good. And maybe that's maybe Nick, and maybe you can tell me if I'm right or wrong here, but maybe that's why I think a lot of Cubs fans are a little more upset is because it was a good game and they still pitched to not get a W when it was all said and done.
Oh, yeah, 100%. The Marlins put up 4 runs in that bottom half of the 5th inning, and then the Cubs go out in top half of the 6th and put up 4 runs of their own. They just come right back, and then, it slips away late in the game. Ben Brown definitely concerned there. That's for sure a pain point for sure. But, yeah, I think you put it best is because they came back, because you had that feeling of they're just going to take care of business here. It sucked even more, man. It just was man, why couldn't they get this? And Danny P, he, like you said, he's been doing so good. And to be in that position, being we didn't know at the time the reason he was out there, but Hodge being down, he's in that position. He really only maybe made a bad pitch, maybe just had a bad batter. And it just ends up costing you when you're late in the game like that. There's not much wiggle room there. And as soon as that ball went down the line, I knew it was over. I'm like, oh, damn it.
Yeah. So. It's a tough break, man. And I think that's the one thing that I can confidently say I think about this Marlins team. They're a little better than people give them credit for. I know wins and losses aren't going to necessarily show that at the end of the year, and nobody's going to sit here and remember the 2025 Marlins. But they're a lot better than people expect. I think a lot of Cubs fans came into this stretch and said, "Oh, we're going to beat the brakes off everybody." Yeah, this Marlins team is talent. You got to remember, they've been trading every player worth of shit for years to accumulate all these prospects that they have.
Yeah.
A good farm now. You're starting to see some of these kids come up. Kyle Stowers, Connor Norby, two huge pieces you got in the Rodgers deal with the Orioles. Like these guys are starting to come along and they have talent. They have a lot more talent than the White Sox do. They have a lot more talent than like the Colorado Rockies do, who the Cubs will see next week. I can make the argument that like they're a lot earlier in the rebuild, but I would compare them in a lot of ways to like what the Reds were with like, maybe they don't have their Ellie De La Cruz per se, but like Kyle Stowers is kind of that version of that guy, that top prospect who comes up and kind of lights the world on fire.
Yeah.
They're a better team than people give them credit for. So I think, it's tough to look and be like, wow, they lost to the Marlins, but like the Marlins almost have 20 wins. Like when you consider the fact that there's a lot of teams worse than them in baseball. I think there's teams worse than them in their own division. If I'm thinking correctly. Okay, no, I'm sorry. They're only 2 games back of the Nationals. Who, remember, a lot of people are like, this Nationals team is vastly improved with guys like James Wood and Dylan Cruz and so on and so forth. So again, they're still a Major League Baseball team. It is a tough break though, but we got to talk the injury stuff, right? Because that's kind of the bridge between Monday's game to Tuesday's game. And a quick Go Cubs go here from Mr. Christopher Cole. Thanks for joining us, guys, as always. I know we're a little later than we normally are after games. I'll take the blame for that. Nonetheless, bunch of movement occurs. You mentioned it, right? We later find out yesterday evening that Porter Hodge is down. Oblique. Immediately screams shit.
Yeah.
Because we all know what obliques mean to baseball players.
Yep.
Who knows how long he's down for the count. You had a bad outing from a guy like Ben Brown as well, which I think kind of adds salt to the wound. I'm gonna take this one off the rails for a hot quick second here, Nick, and feel free to join me. As soon as Shota returns to this rotation, Ben Brown should go to the bullpen.
100%.
There is no sending Cade Horton back to AAA, and everybody can yell and laugh at me because I said before that like Cade Horton should go back to AAA once Shota's healthy. But now that you're down arms in the bullpen, Ben Brown can pitch out of the bullpen because he's done it before.
Yep.
To me, maybe we're getting to that point now where it's, all right, Ben, you're really good against teams the first time through.
Exactly.
You're not really good against teams the second time through.
Exactly, yeah.
Go be that 2-inning bullpen arm. Maybe you close some games. Maybe he does become the closer. Now that Porter Hodge is hurt and Ryan Presley's kind of still trying to find his shit. And maybe, Nick, just maybe, we get to see Cade Horton a little bit longer with Shota returning to the rotation whenever that happens. Now, granted, we're probably still 3 weeks out from that happening based on comments that were made about Shota's progress before the start of that series. But that's kind of where I'm leaning right now because Porter Hodge being down is concerning, to say the least.
Oh, 100%. And the makeup of Ben Brown just plays to being a bullpen kind of guy. He hasn't added that next pitch. He is not a guy that, like you said, can go through the lineup multiple times and have success. But he's got a great arm. He's got great stuff. And when he can get the jump on guys late in the game, I think he's going to have a lot more success. And the thing of the matter is Cade Horton, he's got the makeup of a starter. He goes out there, he just deals, and he throws strikes, and that's the main thing. And the whole thing with Ben Brown is, what if he is your close? What if he's your setup guy for Brad Keller? He could be in the back end of the bullpen for sure. I just think that they would have to make that move based on one more start. And we're going to get into Horton, obviously, as he's going to be going tomorrow. But I think they need one more solid outing out of Horton to make that move. But personally, I don't want to see Ben Brown in the starting rotation when Shota's back. I agree with you 100%.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut off the end of your thought there.
All good.
To your point, Nick, I think this isn't we hate Ben Brown and we don't want to see him. This is the Cubs have an arms problem right now. No Justin Steele, no Shota Imanaga. Who the hell else am I missing that I'm drawing a full-blown blank? No Javier Assad.
Javier Assad, yeah.
Now no Porter Hodge. You are down a lot of important arms, not just in the rotation, but also in your bullpen as things stand. Now is probably the time where, hey, Ben, remember last year when you kind of did a little bit of both? Maybe you can go be the full-time closer. Because I brought up Ben Brown's Baseball Savant page to do a little comparison with Kate Horton, because I think this is the exercise right now, right? It's making the argument Colin Ray's not leaving the rotation.
No.
Matt Boyd and Jameson Taillon, who we're going to get to here in a minute when we talk more about Tuesday's game, they're pitching well. Certainly not going to pull them out of the rotation. Pleasant surprises thus far with the other contributors in the rotation. Like, this is the argument. It's when Shota comes back, who is it? It's Ben Brown or it's Kate Horton. Yep. Ben Brown, pitching run value and all that began, but his pitching run value is not good. His fastball run value right now is only 19th percentile, which is not good. Anybody familiar with Baseball Savant knows these numbers. But his off-speed run value is just below average. And that, to me, plays well in the bullpen, especially when he's 79th percentile in K percentage, 72nd percentile in whiff percentage, and 64th percentile in walk percentage, which is all great. It means he doesn't walk a ton of guys, and he strikes a lot of guys out, and he misses bats. You know where that plays really well? The bullpen.
The bullpen.
Especially when there's a freaking need. And to me, that's what makes the most sense with him, because you look at his pitch usage as well. He technically, I'm going to say that with air quotes here for those that are listening on audio. He technically has a changeup, but he only throws it about 3% of the time. And quite frankly, it doesn't look that different from his fastball to where it makes a big difference per se.
Yeah.
But he throws that fastball 58% of the time and that curve almost 40% of the time. That will play as a late inning bullpen. And again, I think it was Scott from Iowa too, who has said it's either going to be like Ben Brown or Kate Horton at the end of the season as the team's closer.
Yeah.
That might happen now for Ben Brown.
Yeah.
There's a real possibility where that might be in consideration, especially when you look where kind of the state of, the bullpen is, and then the state of the rotation and what Ben Brown's done as a starter.
Exactly.
Now, again, if Ben Brown becomes an elite closer per se, or even just an elite bullpen arm in general, that's still a win on the trade for Robertson when you signed him to a 1-year deal to flip him anyway, right?
Yeah.
That's huge. He doesn't have to be a starter. Guess what? A lot of these arms that they have down in the minors ain't going to be starters.
No.
That's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting to see what happens there. But then I brought up Kate Horton's page. Now, he doesn't qualify per se with Baseball Savant, but if he did qualify, he has a much better off-speed run value than that of what's his face? Ben Brown. Already losing it. But he does have 68th percentile fastball velocity, which is great. He doesn't walk anybody because he hasn't walked anybody yet. But he doesn't strike out a ton of people, but he doesn't get hit very hard either.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't allow a lot of barrels. That probably plays a lot better as a starter long-term. And he's also got a much better pitch mix, which, he's been throwing the change up a little more. He's worked in a sinker that he's been kind of tinkering with a little bit too. Those are kind of his 2 new pitches. But even then, he still has a 3-pitch mix with the 4-seam, the sweeper, and the curve, which in that order is how he throws them in usage. So even that 3rd pitch would go a long, long way for the state, I think, of the starting rotation. A full long rant to say, I'm curious what happens when Shota Imanaga returns, because right now you can make the argument that, Horton's been beat up a little bit per se. He's given up some runs, but he's never given up enough runs where the team feels like they're out of it.
Exactly.
Ben Brown, on the other hand,
He has
6 earned tonight is not a good game from him. Or pardon me, last night, not tonight, not Tuesday. He did not pitch Tuesday, Nick. I'm losing my mind. But Nick, I guess that's where I ask you too, because
sure.
Jed Hoyer came out and said that the team plans on making no significant reliever additions until at least mid to late June, which makes sense, right? That's where your contenders and your pretenders are fully starting to separate. You're going to have teams toward the deadline who decide to sell late, but there's going to be a couple of teams that easily settle in and say, hey, look, like, you know, we're willing to deal somebody in mid-June here. Colorado Rockies, Chicago White Sox, those type of teams. Do you think that a Ben Brown, or even friend of the program, Locked On Cubs host Matt Cozy says here, or even Horton going to the bullpen when Shota returns, do you think one of these guys can go to the bullpen and give the team what they need in the meantime to make up for the loss of Porter Hodge?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that they could have success in the bullpen. I don't know if they're going to be able to fill the shoes of Porter Hodge as easy as we might believe. I'm on the side of I think I'd rather see Ben Brown in the bullpen. Just in the later half, you know, in the back of the bullpen, a lot of guys aren't sitting on breaking balls as much. They're looking for a fastball, looking to do damage late in the game. And I think that curveball is really going to play, especially if, as you said, he can miss barrels. That would be huge. And just overall, I think that those are just big shoes to fill for Porter Hodge. I mean, that's a big loss. And that's why I think the game tonight was so significant, because just the vibe of losing an arm like that could really hurt your ball club. I mean, it's a debilitating thing. When I saw the news, when I heard it out of Craig Counsell, it made the loss like 1,000 times worse for me. And I'm not even in the ball club. So I can only imagine. So, I mean, to answer your question, yes, I think that either one of those guys can have success in the bullpen, but I don't know if they're going to be able to fill the shoes of Porter Hodge.
No, definitely. And some earlier comments here just to back up the discussion that's going on right now. Matt said here, Brown should go to the bullpen with the 2 pitches. Good evening to you as well, Daniel Berry. But Triple R said here, fully support Brown as a setup guy for like a closer, or, you know, until they can get more arms. Christopher Cole was saying he would take Shota, Horton, Boyd, Ray, and Tyone as the 5. You know, we brought up Matt's comment, and then Christopher says here, or just call Miami and see whatever it takes to get Weathers. You know what? There's a couple guys in Miami's bullpen that I really like.
Yeah.
Weathers isn't necessarily one of those guys. Not for any bad reasons. There's just I wrote an article last year around the trade deadline of relievers the Cubs could target at the deadline. If I remember correctly, they didn't trade for a single one of them, which is okay.
Yeah.
But there was quite a few Miami Marlins arms that were really interesting. And they have a couple of guys that like probably don't cost you an arm and a leg, but could be quality additions. And for that reason, I wouldn't be upset about it. So maybe you do call Miami. I think Miami's a team that would be willing to do earlier business, especially if they have guys down in the minors that they want to get some looks at. And maybe it's not in the rotation, but maybe you can throw a couple of those guys out of the bullpen and see what you got there. One quick note I will note here, Ben Brown made his 9th start on Monday night. That is the 3rd start of the season where he gave up at least 5 earned runs. So 1/3 of his starts this year, he's given up 5 earned or more. Not necessarily a recipe for success. And Triple R, thank you, by the way. Appreciate that. Whatever it takes to win. Ain't that the damn truth? I mean, they got to figure it out, and they will, right? Craig Counsell, we've seen the speed of how they make decisions this year. It's far different than it's been for the last few seasons. So I'm sure we'll learn more as the team gets healthy. But that's something that happened on Tuesday. The team got healthy. Ian Happ returned from the injured list. They kind of made it sound like he was okay, but they probably were just like, we're playing an easier stretch of the schedule. Ballesteros is raking. Let's give the kid 10 days and just give Ian a week off and let him just rest. Seems to have worked out. A little bit of a tough night for Ian jumping right back in the leadoff spot. Goes 1 for 6. Take that as you will. 3 Ks. He's a little rusty. He hasn't seen big league pitching in over a week. Oh, but Nick, we talked about how good the offense was before the show. You and I, we dove into this one. 12 players came to bat for the Cubs tonight. So 3 pinch hitters and the habitual 9. All but 1 player recorded a hit. That includes the pinch hitters.
Yep.
That was Vidal Brujan. He went 0 for 1. Michael Busch went 1 for 1 with the 2 ribbies. Birdie went 1 for 1. Then from there, Suzuki, Tucker, and Turner all had 3 hits. Kelly, Swanson, and PCA each had 2 hits, including Matt Shaw. Matt Shaw had 2 hits as well. Look at Matt Shaw coming back from Iowa and starting to hit again. How cool is that? And then you still had Horner get a hit, Hop get a hit. The offense did their job. 21 hits in this 14-1 win over the Marlins. But Nick, I got to let you talk about the offense because I might go on a rant when I get to my next point about tonight's game. But how good was the offense tonight, and how refreshing was it, in your opinion, to see them? Because you mentioned a little bit earlier, right? You get that sour taste out of your mouth and you bounce back with a big win.
Yep.
This one just feels good, especially for a guy like Kyle Tucker, who gets on the board tonight with his 10th homer of the season and has a 3-hit game on top of it to hopefully start to break out of that slump.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that was awesome to see early on from Tucker. And I saw in his post-game press conference, he was saying that he felt like something clicked yesterday for him, and he definitely looked different out there for sure. So all the hate on Kyle Tucker, first of all, let's just reel that back in because it's King Tuck. Come on. Guys are going to struggle a little bit. And that's the great thing about this offense. And we've talked about this before. When big names struggle, other guys are there to pick them up, even at the bottom of the lineup sometimes. But all throughout the lineup tonight, production. To see that 6th inning where they started off, I believe, Suzuki with the leadoff walk. They loaded the bases, and that's one of my favorite things of baseball is when you load the bases, nobody out, base hit, station to station, base hit, station to station, base hit, station to station, and then the big just boom from Seiya Suzuki there with the cap of the home run. That was awesome. So the offense was great, and it really took away that pressure, like I said, away from will Craig have to go to the bullpen? Will he have to go to – how is he going to piece this together? I was thinking, like, how is this going to work? If this is a close game, who is going to take the ball in the 9th inning? And that was all eliminated just by the offense and by J-Mo. Because
Indeed.
Yeah, he also – and I know that you're going to – I know. But the offense, that was just a breath of fresh air. And this Cubs offense – they're so dangerous. They can do that. They can just burst 8-run innings, like easily put up a crooked number at any time. And that's why you feel like with this team, you're never really out of it. I never have that feeling, even late in the game where you're like, well, it's over. And I remember some years where you'd be down 5-1 and you're like, it's done.
It's over.
So it's over. You do not have that feeling with this Cubs team. So this offense is just humming, and it's great to see. And when you have a team like the Marlins, that's what you got to do. You got to beat up on them. You have to build that confidence in yourself as an offense and use that type of game to launch yourself to the next couple.
Indeed. It's a get-right game, right? Like that's what it is. Well, we'll take it. Anybody that's listened to On Tap shows long enough knows that I love to quote The Longest Yard. You need a tune-up game. You need some D1 AA school. Kick the living shit out of them. It's kind of how it is with some of these lower level teams in Major League. Like, yeah, they're going to get you every once in a while because it's still big league baseball and you play 162 times. Like it's effectively a dice roll any given night. But when you can kick the shit out of them, go kick the shit out of them. It's good for the team. It's good for the confidence and to get you rolling in the right direction. I will say this too, to your point about the team never feeling out of it. a week ago, literally, against the Marlins. Walk-off win. Felt like it was over. I remember sitting down and going, well, let's watch these last 3 outs. And they metaphorically spit in my eye and told me you're wrong. And they went on and did their thing, right? So it just is one of those things. But you mentioned, too, the bullpen. They had to use 4 pitchers last night to get through that game because Brown only goes 4 2/3. So you have Thielbar, who goes a full over an inning, so he probably wasn't available tonight. Presley went an inning. Pomeranz went an inning, which both of them might have been available, especially Pomeranz because he only threw 14 pitches. I mean, Thielbar got through 1 1/3 and 17 pitches. That's pretty effective.
Yeah.
And then Palencia obviously threw enough pitches, 24 pitches. He probably wasn't available either. So there's a chance that at least 2 of those 4 probably weren't available tonight. And let's be real, if Craig didn't have to use them, he probably wasn't going to use them either. You get 2. And that's the beauty of a game like this. You can throw Chris Flexen out there and say, give us 2 to 3 innings at the end of a game, and you're good. And that's what he did tonight. Well, he only had to go 2 because the guy that I was told was a hot piece of trash went 7 fucking innings and didn't even have to throw 90 pitches. Ain't that weird? I'm utterly tired of the Jameson Taillon hate. Genuinely. I get it. His first year as a Cub was rough. And I can almost tell you what it was. They told him in the pitch lab in the offseason, hey, you should tinker with this, you should tinker with that. We think it'll make you a better pitcher. Right? Because he said it when he joined the team. I'm excited to be here because they challenged me to be better. And it's not just ho-hum and the status quo and this, that, and the other. So you knew there was adjustment there. You saw it in his second half in his first year with the team. He looked great. Then in year 2, last year, really good year. Really good year from Jameson Taillon. Didn't get talked about a lot, though, and that's okay. Shota Imanaga was great. Justin Steele was great. Like, they had 3 really strong pitchers last year. And hell, you can even throw Javier Assad in that conversation, who also had a really strong year.
Yep.
And then this year, you lose your 2 workhorses at the top of the rotation for an extended period of time. And Matthew Boyd, Colin Ray, and Jameson Taillon fucking picked you up on their shoulders and said, don't worry, boys, we got you.
Yep.
And they continue to do it. Jameson Taillon is just, and you can tell he's not, it's all about me. He's a team guy. You hear it. Who's your favorite team? Jameson Taillon. Jameson Taillon. This guy right now, yes, has a 4.13 ERA. This season, which I know to some people are going, well, that's not very spectacular. It's not very good. Well, you know what is good? Think about this. He gave up 6 earned runs in that start against the Diamondbacks at the beginning of the season.
Yep.
He got banged up a little bit in New York. Okay. You take those 2 starts away, and Jameson Taillon has not had worse than 3 earned given up, and he has pitched you to, let me do quick counting here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quality starts out of his 10 this season.
Yep.
6 of them have been quality starts, which for anybody that doesn't remember what a quality start is by definition, it's 3 runs or less and 6 innings of work. Last time I checked, that does just fine for a starting pitcher. Oh, and by the way, he's only making $18 million, which might sound like a lot, but when you watch what Matthew Boyd got, who arguably coming into the season had far less success in his career than Jameson Taillon did prior to signing with the Cubs, is a fucking steal.
Yep.
So I sit in my chair tonight and I look into the camera, just like I did the other night, Nick. I'm going to do it again. We're going to get nice and close here. If you don't like Jameson Taillon, get off your high horse, look at the numbers, and stop being a whiny bitch. Him, Matthew Boyd, and Colin Ray are continuing to carry this Cubs team without your 2 most important starting pitchers. They still lead the division. They have 29 wins. That's tied for second best in baseball. Respect Jameson Taillon. Stop poo-pooing on the guy. This is his second 7-inning outing of the season already. And he did it on a night when they needed it most.
Exactly.
You burned a lot of bullpen arms.
Yep.
You didn't want to have to use a ton of bullpen arms again. Offense did their job. Your starting pitcher did his job. And then Chris Flexen just got to play cleanup duty.
Yep.
And you got through 9 innings with just 2 pitchers. Masterclass from the Cubs on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
Masterclass. Things we love to see, Nick.
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
I feel better. I had to get that one.
I'm sure you do. Yeah. There's
Had to
the
get that one through.
consistency factor out of JMO, though. Of
Yes.
just giving you those innings and stuff. And people need to remember, he's not your ace. He's
No.
not like people treat him as if he's supposed to go out there and have ace stuff. And he almost does give you that type of stuff out there. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, the hate needs to stop there for sure.
I would argue if this rotation was fully healthy, and let's just say Javier Sada aside, right? Because he's been hurt since spring training. If Justin Steele and Shota Imanaga were still healthy, and let's say Ben Brown continued to struggle, or maybe Ben Brown was the one that got hurt, and Colin Ray stepped in. If Colin Ray, the way he's been pitching, what does he have? 2.40 something ERA right now? 2.43, I think is what the number is.
Believe so, yeah.
Jameson Taillon, who, again, 6 quality starts and 10 starts this season. Matthew Boyd, who, hasn't walked anybody since it was 30 degrees outside, would be your 3, 4, and 5 pitchers in the starting rotation. Because you have Justin Steele and Shota Imanaga at the top.
Yeah.
To me, it's such blasphemy that everybody just I think there's segments of the fan base, segments of radio people that think every single one of these guys needs to be the creme de la creme. First off, that's not realistic.
No.
So I don't know what to tell you. But in addition to that, how are you not happy when the guy gives you a quality start?
Yeah.
Remember, does anybody not I get having a short memory. Do we not remember that first half of 2021 when a quality start was winning a fucking lottery for this Cubs starting pitching staff? Do you remember that, Nick?
I remember that, yeah.
When it was Kyle Hendricks, the ghost of Jake Arrieta. I mean, who else am I missing? There's some good ones in there. Yeah, Zach Davies.
Zach Davies, yeah.
Alec Mills.
Yeah. They all had similar, yeah.
And they would all give you 5, and then you'd have to burn 4 pitchers to get through the rest of the game. And then the bullpen burned out. They lose 10 straight games, and then you have to blow up the team. Because they were actually playing pretty good in 2021.
Yeah.
And then they went on that brutal losing streak, and that's what sealed the fate. Take quality starts for what they are, people. This isn't 1975 where Fergie Jenkins threw 9 innings every fucking start. It's not realistic. The athletes are better. You and I just talked about this a week ago, too. When we were literally defending Jameson Taillon.
The same exact thing, yeah.
I'm the pitch clock is sped up how much they have to throw.
Yeah, we talked all about this.
If you think Fergie numbers are realistic in today's baseball, you need to get your head examined.
Yeah. Because
common sense is clearly not something you possess. What's the term that I'm going to say what the kids use now? I'm 30. I can use that terminology now. You're Delulu. That's what it is. All right. Ridiculous. Nonsense. Jameson Taillon, you were brilliant tonight, sir.
Yep.
Well done. Well freaking done. Nick, we talked about some other things too in the pre-show that I think were kind of fun. I would like to address some of those, but before we get to those, I do want to ask you any final thoughts that we missed from these first 2 games of this 3-game set with the Marlins?
The only thing I would say is it was really good to see Big Mo Baller get his hit out there. I think it was the 6th inning or whatever. It sparked a great offensive stretch right there. And it was awesome to see him get that and just continue to be, it's not easy to go up there and he knows he has a short stay. So he wants to be doing something special. He wants to prove himself. And he really looked solid overall. Just he didn't look nervous at all. He was aggressive in the strike zone. He didn't really like swing out of his shoes at pitches that were completely in the other batter's box. Like he looked pretty solid for his first time up. So definitely giving him his flowers. Happy to see that. And then, it's sad to see him go down, but he's going to come back better than ever. I think he's really hungry now. And we talked about in pre-show, like I think he's going to be wanting to prove himself even more. He's gotten a taste and he wants to come back. So that'll be my final thoughts. And the offense was just so fun to watch. So fun. Just keep doing that.
Do that again and again and again. Low stress wins are fun, right? Like I know for me, I love a good low stress victory because you can just watch it and enjoy it. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy a good baseball game. Like I appreciate a game that comes down to the wire. There's always a place for that. But especially after Monday's game, a high stress game was not on the menu. So I support what you had to say. And I'll tell you what, I think it was Hank Rodriguez, habitual commentator of ours here in the comment section on a regular basis. I think he said it on Sunday's show about, wow, look what happens when you let the kids come up and let them play.
Yep.
Right. Something that was such a struggle for David Ross as a manager. Obviously, we didn't really get to see it with Madden as manager just because they were in a competitive window and a lot of those guys got flipped for pieces.
Mm-hmm.
But like PCA's hot stretch of what he's done now as really his, I guess we'll call it second full season as a big leaguer, even though last year he still only played like 125 games or 130 games. Nonetheless, his second year as a true big leaguer, he's really come to life. Horton has at least given you a chance to win games, which is really all you can ask from the kid this early in his career. Moises Ballesteros comes up and, again, maybe didn't have all the success in the world. He went 3 for 16 in this stint. But a couple RBIs in there, like you said, never really looked out of place. There was an adjustment period, as Scott from Iowa noted in our comments when he initially came up, but he never looked like he was overwhelmed. There was just an acclimation period. And it takes a little bit of time. And maybe he was starting to find that stride. 10 games is a small sample size in a 162 game stretch. But it's good to see them get Ian Happ back, though, as a result. Of course, Ballesteros goes down. But now he knows what he needs to work on. Now he knows what it takes and what it tastes like to be in the big leagues. He's gonna want to prove that he deserves to be back. And it's a good problem to have. And now you have Matt Shaw, who went down, worked on what he needed to work on, got more comfortable in Iowa, was really good in Iowa, and now has come up and had back-to-back 2-hit nights for the Cubs.
Great to see.
As soon as he's inserted back in the lineup as your everyday third baseman. I mentioned it briefly on Sunday's show with you and Tyler that in the world of hockey, that's what the Blackhawks have been doing. Bring a guy up. Oh, clearly there's your weakness. Go work on that down in Rockford in the AHL. They work on it. They come back up. They look like a whole different player. Mm-hmm. Matt Shaw did that. And that's huge for development because we all said, right, the Cubs guys got to the majors and never got better. Well, I think the Cubs are okay sending guys back to Iowa and saying, hey, look, you go do your thing because we don't need you to be the guy right now, right? We got Kyle Tucker. We got PCA now who's becoming one of those dudes. We have Dansby Swanson who looks like the Dansby Swanson they paid $177 million to. You have a Nico Horner who's continuing to hit. You have a Seiya Suzuki who's having a monster year. You have a Michael Busch who's having a great year and just very much flying under the radar because of the other players on this roster.
Yep.
It's good to see. So in agreement with you, my friend, I think, Monday's game sucked. They should already have had the series in the bag. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, but you at least have a chance at the rubber match, and we'll get to that here before we close out the show. But, Nick, I wanted to bring this up because I thought it was a fun little exercise. We did this exercise before because we were just talking about, like, playoffs, and obviously it's way too early to be talking about playoffs, but we were talking about, right, the trades, and, teams aren't going to trade guys because they want to drive the price up because everybody's kind of still in it.
Yeah.
But we were looking at the divisions, and we were just talking about how impressive some of these divisions are this year. We set the threshold at 26 wins This is as of right now, as of this recording, which it is 10:19 Central Time on Tuesday, May 20th. So if these numbers change and you're listening to it later, don't come at me, all right? But 26 wins is our threshold. 26 or more, right? And we went division by division. So we'll just do this exercise here really quick. In baseball, there are only 2 divisions with at least 3 teams above that 20 at or above that 26 win mark in each in those divisions. There's one with 4, and that's the one that we were talking about ad nauseum because of how good they are. The NL Central would have 2 teams that qualify for that threshold. Obviously, our Chicago Cubs, who are 29-20, and those pesky St. Louis Cardinals, who are 27-22.
Boo.
Reds just missed their 25-25. In the NL East, 2 more teams. Both the Phillies and the Mets each have 29 wins. Phillies have the slight edge with 2 less losses. Next closest team is Atlanta in third place. They have 24 wins. We're going to skip to the AL now really quick. The AL East, we only have 1 team that would qualify. That would be the New York Yankees, who are leading the division 28-19. Boston at 25-25 is the second place team in the AL East. The AL West only has 1 of those teams, the 27-19 Seattle Mariners. The next closest team, the 25-23 Houston Astros, who are in second place in that division right now by half a game because Texas is right on their heels, but also with 25 wins. The AL Central, which is home to the best record in baseball, which that wasn't on my 2025 bingo card, but here we are.
Nope.
They have 3 teams that meet that threshold. The Twins have 26 wins. That 13-game win streak totally changed their outlook of their season.
Yep.
So good on them. Sometimes you need one of those to get you back into the game. The Kansas City Royals have 27 wins, and the best record in baseball, the Detroit Tigers, with 32 wins. Which still feels weird to even articulate and say. Especially because the Cardinals kicked the shit out of them on Monday night. It was like an 11-4 game or something like that, which is even more bonkers. Cleveland, right on the heels, though, of that threshold. They have 25 wins. The NL West has a chance this season to send 4 teams to the playoffs because the Diamondbacks are 26-22, but they're 4th place in their own division. Because the Giants have 28 wins, the Padres have 27 wins. And mind you, those 2 teams are tied, but 27-19, 28-20, so the percentage gives the Padres the edge. The Dodgers have 29 wins. That's crazy that you can have 26 wins. So think about that. How many divisions would the Diamondbacks be number 2 in right now? Or at worst, like tied for 3rd. But because they play in the NL West, they're 4th in their own division. Now, granted, they're only 3 games out, so like they've got a shot. And I think they're only 2 games out of the wild card, or it might actually be 3 out of the wild card. So like they're right there. It's just crazy.
That's great.
That, like this early in the season, we're having a lot of these cool storylines that are already emerging of like that's a super division. And then of course you got the Rockies who are 8-39 that completely balances that entire division out.
That's so bad.
But like it's crazy to look at that and see that and go, holy shit. Like the Diamondbacks would be a half a game out of second place in the NL Central. They would be 2 games out, I think, in the NL East, if I did my math correctly. They would be effectively a half a game out of the tie for second in the AL Central. They would absolutely be second in the AL East. They'd absolutely be second in the AL West. Like, and they but they're 4th in their own division because the NL West is just crazy this year. And like, I think people expected the Diamondbacks to be good, but like, and the Padres to be good and the Dodgers, but nobody expected the Giants to be this good.
No, I didn't.
I didn't. Wasn't on the 2025 bingo card.
No.
It's crazy to see. So that was something we were discussing earlier. I thought that was just kind of fun to share with people. Not all just straight Cubs talk. We can talk a little big picture baseball here too, and get to chat about that. But speaking of big picture, we gotta talk about the finish of this 3-game series. So we'll obviously be back on Thursday. It's starting to look like a a reunion of the old Friday night shows from back in the day. If you know, you know. Good old Nick and Joey special is what the current schedule is insisting. So we'll be back before the weekend. We'll be back before the Cincinnati Reds series. So we're not even going to talk about the Reds. But we have one game left in this 3-game set with the Marlins. It's an early game too. You might be eating your lunch when this one kicks off tomorrow. It's a 12:10 Central Time start. Good old getaway day. In addition, it will be, as you mentioned before, Cade Horton is on the bump for the boys, for the Cubbies. It's funny. I had nailed down in my head who was pitching for the Marlins, and then naturally I forgot. That's right. It's Max Meyer. It's a duel of the youngsters.
Yeah.
So that's who's going tomorrow. So another good look at Horton. I'm excited because the both times that Cade Horton pitched, I was unable to watch the game.
Oh.
Tomorrow I can watch the game, so I'm super excited to dial in and actually see a Cade Horton start.
Heck yeah.
What needs to happen tomorrow, Nick? Because again, this is it feels weird to say during this stretch because everybody was so sold that the Cubs were going to just mop up the rest of May. But they have to go out and win a baseball game tomorrow. Otherwise, it's a series loss.
Yeah.
What do they need to do?
Yeah. Well, what they have to do, and it's going to be difficult just based off of how much offense, how much offensive output that you got tonight. You got to hope that they can take that pressure off of Cade Horton. I've said this before, but if they can put up some runs on the board and let him just throw strikes and be aggressive, I think they have a real good chance. What I don't want to see happen is a very close game. Horton's throwing a lot of pitches. It's like the 4th or 5th inning that they got to pull him. And then you just got to count on the bullpen throughout. I mean, the bullpen hasn't been terrible, so I'm not worried about that. It's just a sense of the pressure of you need to win this rubber match. It's the Marlins. If you drop this game, I mean, don't think that's not in the back of their heads as well, because it is. 100%. So I think that if they can go out there, put up a crooked number early, give Horton the, pressure-free start that he will benefit from as a young guy out there on the mound. This will really help him out. And more importantly, I want to see them continue to be aggressive on the base paths, continue to steal. I think when they do that, that's such a nice formula. If the long ball is not there and it hasn't been there as much, then just go to the small ball type of way where you're using your speed. There's so many guys with speed on this team, and speed kills, as we've said here. And just use that and lean on that if the long ball is not there. But offense, and hopefully Horton can go deeper in the game. I know he throws a lot of pitches, so if he gets 6, I'll be happy with that.
I would be stoked to see Cade Horton go 6 innings, even get into the 6th inning. Maybe he doesn't finish the inning.
Correct.
Maybe if he gives you like 5 1/3, 5 2/3 even.
I'll take that all day.
I think that would be awesome. I will say this. So I was curious because I wanted to see how many pitches he's thrown in his first 2 outings. So he threw 4 and 5 innings respectively over his last 2 outings. Obviously, that first one was in New York in relief, quote unquote. The second one against the White Sox, that was his first official start. Both games, he threw about the same number of pitches, 77 in that first game, 79 in that second game. So it seems like 80 is kind of the sweet spot with him right now.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done, Jameson Taillon got through 7 innings on 87 pitches. Now, granted, Jameson Taillon also only struck out 2, but so did Cade Horton against the White Sox. He hasn't been a big strikeout guy yet.
No.
In this early part of the season. So if he can get these Miami hitters to be aggressive and roll over on some stuff, maybe swing through some things, maybe just make awkward contact on something and get some easy outs, I think is at least if he gets you 5, because everybody that's not named Chris Flexen should be available tomorrow, especially with the off day on Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody should be available. So if that's the case, go 5. Go 5, give up no more than 3. And I think they'll be just fine.
Oh, yeah.
Give your offense a chance to get the job done. You give your bullpen, enough options as a whole. I fully expect to see Drew Pomeranz again if it's a close game. I fully expect to see probably a Ryan Presley as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried a Daniel Palencia back out there. I know a lot of people are probably still have a salty taste in their mouth from Monday, but like he's overall been very good this season for the Cubs. That was one really bad outing. I think we're gonna see some good stuff. I'm hoping for just a Cade Horton. Like I hope these Miami hitters are almost like too aggressive, thinking like, well, Tyone doesn't throw very hard, and Ben Brown was easy because he only had the 2 pitch mix. I kind of hope they come into this one and they're like, oh, we're going to get on him early, and Horton's just fanning people.
Yeah.
Like, even if he only goes 5, but if he strikes out like 7 or 8, I think for his confidence, that would be awesome. And just for sake of, like, the rest of the team, they'd be like, look at this 23-year-old kid picking us up right now, putting out, a good start and giving us a chance to win. I think that goes a long way for a largely veteran lineup outside of, PCA and Matt Shaw effectively, right? It's largely a veteran group that knows what they're doing at the big league level. I think that goes a long way when it's all said and done, if they're able to take care of that business and, do what they need to do when it's all said and done. But I'm right there with you, man. It starts with Cade Horton tomorrow, and it's not necessarily pressure on him. It's just, hey, man, go out there and give your guys a chance to win. Get a series victory, get your asses to Cincinnati. You'll be there by Wednesday evening, and then you got a beautiful off day on Thursday to do whatever the hell you want in the city of Cincinnati. And then Friday's a late game, so you can sleep in. You can, get to the ballpark early. Do whatever you got to do. Get ready for a 3-game set with those pesky Reds. Those are important games, right? You get to see them twice in the month of May now before it's all said and done. A lot of space in the division can really open up, and you can really kind of push them down further and make it a 2-team race if you're the Cubs, right? I mean, the Brewers can hang around all they want, but they're a game below 500 right now. It's just the Cardinals, and unfortunately for the Cubs, you can't directly push the Cardinals down until June. So why not at least push another team down the standings and try to eliminate as many horses from the race as you can as early on as possible? You got 6 games to do it. I think if you win 4 of those 6, you're happy when it's all said and done. I'm sure the Reds will get at least 1 over the weekend. That's just inevitable. If they get a sweep, that'd be cool too, but I'm not going to get my hopes up. Nick, one last chance. Anything we missed before we shut this thing down?
No, I don't think so. I think that they just got to continue to do what they're doing. It's been a fun year. This team is just fun.
Oh, definitely.
We can't forget that too. We just got to continue to enjoy this year of baseball that we've been blessed by, because it's been a fun time. I'm having just a ball watching this team.
It makes, when your baseball team is bad, it's a long summer.
Yeah.
When your baseball team's good, it's a fun summer.
It's fun.
I'm already chomping at the bit to get back to Wrigley. I've been there 3 times this year. I'm eyeballing that Friday game against the Reds at the end of next week already. So
nice.
Good chance I'll be out there and taking in the weather against the pesky Reds. And actually, no, won't see Horton. Horton will be in the Rocky series probably. Yeah. Damn, that sucks. That's okay.
You don't want to see them play the Rockies.
No, I really don't.
No.
I mean, I wouldn't be against it.
Right.
But,
no.
I have some personal things going on that lead up to that Wednesday, so that's probably out of the question, unfortunately. But Joey will be at the ballpark on Memorial Day, actually, for the opener of that Rocky series. So hopefully we'll get some cool pictures and videos from him for the either the Cubs on Tap page or just tagging Cubs on Tap, so that way we can share those from there, of course. It'll be good. A lot of guys getting out to the ballpark. Tyler will be in Cincinnati this weekend to see them against the Reds. I know Rich will be at one of the games against the Reds when they're back at Wrigley. I'll be at another one. So lots of Cubs on Tap contributors getting out to the ballparks. It'll be good to see. Yeah, I got no final thoughts, man. I think we've covered it. They got a chance to win a series tomorrow. Go get it done. Win a series. Enjoy your off day then, and let's get into the weekend and take care of business against the Reds. That's just kind of what my mindset is. If I'm a member of the Chicago Cubs, which I obviously am not, but that is okay. As always, I want to remind everybody, Cubs on Tap, as you know it, one of 2 shows here at the On Tap Sports Network covering your friends, the Chicago Cubs. Check out our friends over at the Dingers Podcast. Monday nights is when you can find them, right here on the On Tap Sportsnet YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, hit the little bell button. You'll know when all of our great shows go live, not just Cubs on Tap or the Dingers Boys. Be sure to follow us as well at Cubbies on Tap on the socials. You know where to find me. You know where to find Nick. You know where to find all the boys. Again, Go wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Everybody's handles are linked in the description. You can find us, follow along with everybody there as well. You know the drill. Bulls, Bears, Blackhawks. Bears are kind of we're in a little bit of a quiet zone right now with the old Chicago Bears. That's okay. Yeah, big news. Joe Thuney finally signing his extension. Good call. So check that out. Surely there'll be an episode from Bears on Tap next week. Is when it's scheduled. It was supposed to be this week, but you guys can all blame me again for that being pushed back. So that's on me. Nonetheless, Bulls and Blackhawks as well. Blackhawks probably naming a new head coach here in the coming days. Jeff Blashill is the name kind of being tossed around right now. So be on the lookout for a new Four Feathers episode. And, of course, our friends over at Bulls on Tap keep things hot and fresh over there as well. And, of course, Cubs fans, you know the drill. Those stupid, pesky-ass White Sox that the Cubs played over the weekend. You got friends that like them. I got friends that like them. I know Nick does too. You can send your friends to our friends. Let them all be friends and hate their lives over at Sox on Tap. They can all, they can all talk about how much they hate Jerry Reinsdorf together, and leave us all the hell alone. OnTapSportsNet.com and at OnTapSportsNet on the socials. The OnTap Sports Network. Go and check out what's on tap in Chicago sports. I think Jay says it best here. He says FTM and FTC. Nick, would you happen to agree? And we get out of here the only way we know how it comes on tap?
Heck yeah. I was listening to Chip Carey's depressing, calling that loss out there. So that was wonderful. And always fuck the Cardinals.
Always fuck the Cardinals. Fuck the Marlins for tomorrow. Not you, Mr. McMullen. It was good to see you at the ballpark at Wrigley. But yeah, fuck the fish for tomorrow. And let's go Cubbies.